And then sometimes I even walked into the restaurants and they said, oh, you're that girl from YouTube. Here, have a free meal. And I even have local businesses asking me to go eat food at the restaurant and add them to the list, right? So YouTube sort of became more of like a community thing.
Yeah.
And I also love food. So it's literally a win-win for everyone.
Kidding.
Oh, that's
I'm
amazing.
gonna make a list of businesses I want free stuff from. I'm gonna start doing
Freestyle.
review
YouTube
videos. Make
videos. Welcome to another episode of Level Up. I'm Katie. I'm here with Daniel, and today we have a very special guest. That is Jaden Kennedy. Jaden is a real estate broker who was born and raised in Durham Region. She has spent most of her life engaged with the community through leadership, volunteerism, and sport. While attending the University of San Diego in California, pretty cool, on a volleyball scholarship, even cooler, my daughter would love that, Jaden became interested in real estate and obtained her license when she returned from playing professional volleyball overseas. Jaden is extremely passionate about bridging the gap between financial literacy and real estate acquisition so that people, especially those within marginalized communities, can build generational wealth through real estate. Her ultimate goals are to both empower and inspire those around her and normalize financial conversations at the dinner table. Oh my God, I love that. Welcome, Jaden.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited. And like I mentioned before the podcast, just want to give you guys a shout out because you are doing wonders for new realtors, really providing value that we might not necessarily get in the course. So I
Oh,
appreciate you guys for that.
no problem. Happy
awesome.
that
I
it's
mean,
helping.
it's you're like a quintuple threat. Like volleyball and financial literacy. Like who marries volleyball? Like professional sports, financial literacy. People don't think about that stuff, but I am super impressed to dive deeper into maybe not just the real estate stuff because it sounds like you've had quite the journey that's pretty awesome to get where you are
Okay.
right now. But
Thank
what
you.
I mean, why don't you tell us a bit about when you started in real estate, how that all came about, your decision to get into it?
100%. So, because I was lucky enough to get a scholarship, a lot of people that went to my school were very affluent, and I was having conversations with people at the school asking, how is it that you guys build so much wealth? And the majority of the people said through real estate. Now,
Mm.
within certain communities, we don't necessarily see real estate as a means to build wealth. We have more of a renter as opposed to an owner mindset. So, after being at school, I started, came home, had conversations with people within different communities asking what their beliefs were when it comes to real estate. And I realized that there's a really big knowledge gap specifically when it comes to how people perceive real estate. So I played volleyball professionally overseas, came back, started working at a car rental company. Felt like I wasn't really fulfilling my purpose, not really changing lives. I'm just giving people a car, temporarily. So I was like, you know what? I've really been passionate about real estate and educating people in the community. So I decided to get my real estate license. Of course, the money that comes with it, I didn't realize how well one could do through, real estate. It was more from a community perspective and really just educating those around me, and especially those people who don't have someone within their households to have these conversations with.
Hmm. That's amazing. And you're right. Like, I think we take for granted all the knowledge that we have as realtors that we build up over the years. And we don't realize, especially first-time home buyers getting into the market, how much lack of knowledge they do have. And it's not their fault by any stretch. So the fact that you're bridging the gap with that is tremendous. And I see it. If you guys follow her on Instagram, she's got so many great videos, specifically around that financial literacy part. And so definitely check her out because you speak with such, have you always spoken with such authority, or did it take you some time to get used to the video? Because like, you're amazing on video. You come across
Thank
super
you.
confident. So let's maybe talk about like the video side of things. Like, is that where you started, or did it kind of take you some
Mhm.
time to build up to that?
So it'll go, Daniel, back to sports. Because I played at a reasonable level, I got interviewed quite a bit, right? So I'm used to sort of being in front of the camera answering questions on the fly, etc. But I think that I became more confident. At the beginning, I wasn't as confident as I am now, but that's just because the more knowledge that you sort of
Yeah.
understand or you receive, right, the better that you're going to be able to present yourself. So at the beginning, I was literally listening to your guys' podcasts and going on Google and searching like common realtor questions. And that's just how I started. But I knew that there was opportunity for video because a lot of the realtors who are established, they're established, but they're not necessarily big on social media. And because I was new to the industry, I was like, how can I sort of establish authority without being in the industry for a long time? And I was like, let me do that through video. And not only did that enable me to sort of, I guess, sharpen my ability to communicate, it also forced me to actually understand the information that I'm sharing, right? So for me, it was really beneficial to get on video because number one, reaches a lot of people, but number two, it really forced me to get a good understanding of the content because it's one thing to put the content out, but it's another to be able to answer the questions when people engage with you, right?
100%. That is why I do a lot of video myself. It's just that learning aspect, because like if I just would read it, I wouldn't retain it as well as if I'm trying
Yes.
to teach somebody else. So it serves a dual purpose when you're doing those videos. So I totally agree. Yeah.
Absolutely. It keeps you accountable to the knowledge that you've got. It keeps you learning in real time because ultimately you're staying ahead of the people who are watching you, right? They're coming to you for the next nugget of information. And do you feel, I mean, watching you do it, you love doing it. Like it shows
Yeah.
that you're not feeling like, oh, I've got to do, it's Tuesday, I've got to record a video today. Like you're doing it because you've got something new to say and people want to hear it. Do you feel that you're driven by your own interest in the subject matter or by the fact that now you've got an audience base who is almost keeping you accountable to keep dropping knowledge on them?
100%. That's a great question. I'd say it's a little bit of both. Number one, my followers now, it's like I usually post, I used to post 2 videos a week. I found that it was too exhausting. I couldn't come
Mm.
up with new ideas. So I said, okay, let me pivot. Let me still, post consistently via my stories. So I almost always have a story. So I'm staying top of mind. But I do post about a reel a week. And sometimes when I don't post, my followers are like, Jaden, I'm waiting for your weekly post. Like, what's going on? And of course, it takes time to sort of build that. But once you get the ball rolling, it really just sort of creates this ecosystem that sort of forces you to stay consistent. The other half is I just love sort of recording videos, providing value. And I'm also quite competitive. So I set goals for myself on a weekly, monthly, quarterly basis. And it's like, I want a certain amount of people to engage with my content. I want
Mm.
a certain amount of followers. I want a certain amount of shares and saves. And I need to stay on top of my content or I'm not going to hit those goals. So it's a
Mm.
little bit of everything.
No, that's awesome. What type of engagement are you getting now with your videos?
I'm getting some really good engagement. So I posted yesterday on my Instagram story. In the past 30 days, I've had 200,000 people see my content. And there's not a lot of avenues where you go no go to get that type of engagement. So I'm
No.
very lucky in the sense that I'm getting a lot of engagement. I would say every week I track my stuff. I'm gaining about 400 followers a week. Now, I I don't really care about followers if I'm being honest. People can go buy followers. I care about the actual engagement on the video. So
Yeah.
I would say each video probably has, let's say on average, like 30, 40,000 views, 3 to 400 shares, 3 to 400 saves. So for me, it's amazing. And then it's like sometimes I'll be in a grocery store and someone will be like, "You're that realtor from Instagram." And I'll be like, "Yes." And then they'll say, "Oh, I shared your video with someone else." So it's just really cool to see that the videos that I'm putting out, for me, I'm just sitting in a room, maybe recording, but like it's
Yeah.
actually hitting people. And then to see
Yes.
it in public is amazing. And sometimes I was at an event this past weekend and they were telling me how they were actually going to lease a vehicle prior to purchasing their house. And they said, "Hey, I watched your reel and I realized that my
Mm.
purchasing power is going to go down significantly if I had leased a vehicle. So I actually waited to buy my house and then I got my vehicle. So thank you for that." And those things
Mm.
to me, like, priceless, regardless of if you use me or not. Like, my goal is just to, there's a lot of crooked realtors in the game. Like, I just want people to be confident and happy with their transactions. So, yeah.
Cool is that, huh? Like
Hmm.
we I think all of us take for granted the eyeballs who are taking our content and we never even knew. Like you don't because you don't interact necessarily day to day with everybody who's consuming what you're putting out there and you've been changing lives I'm sure, dozens and hundreds of people, and you don't even know until you bump into them in the supermarket one day, right? And they tell you,
Yes.
like, so that's awesome. Like, from an engagement perspective, I mean, you talked about shares and saves and likes, and I agree with you on the followers. I mean, it's awesome to have, but I
Yeah.
mean, it's the actual engagement. Do you get into a lot of I say conversation? I mean, it's virtual, but in terms of back and forth, people that you meet and maybe start a discourse with through that as well, with that sort of engagement?
100%. And I think when I first started, I was like, I want to DM every new person that follows me, and I was doing that. And then, as your followers start to grow a bit faster, you realize it's not feasible. So I'm probably having, not that I start, probably about 50 DM conversations a day with people. So it's sort of becoming a full-time job. And my goal is I started the year with, I think, maybe 5-ish thousand followers, and now I'm at maybe 19. So it's like, I don't know how big it's going to get, which is really exciting, but I have to get
Yeah.
better with creating systems. But I also just want to
Mm.
mention, I do like educating, but at the same time, I've had my license for 2.5 years now. My first year, I think I did maybe like 15,000 from Instagram. My second and third year, like I've easily passed 100,000 strictly from
Mm.
Instagram business. So
Wow.
the ROI is there also.
For sure. And are these people mainly following you? Like, are they in a specific neighborhood? Is it GTA wide? Like, where do you find most of your people are coming from?
Yeah, so with Instagram, I think what changed the game for me was that you can boost your reels now, right? So
Mm.
last year I spent, I'll just be honest with you guys, I spent $100 a month on boosting my content, and I
Okay.
realized the reach that I was getting. So I said this year, you know what? Let me just go all in. So now I
Yeah.
spend $1,000 a month on promoting my ads. So people will see me when they're scrolling on their timelines. But the thing is,
Yeah.
you're not going to get the followers if the quality of the content isn't
Yeah.
there, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I pay for the real boost, and I feel like that's where I get the most engagement from. I feel like I forgot the actual question though. What was the question? Do you guys remember?
No, just in terms of where your audience is coming from,
Oh
is it
yes,
all over? Yeah. I was about to forget
yeah.
as well. I'm like, God, I hope I remember.
Yes, no. So it's the issue, that's what I'm saying. With boosting, you cannot choose where you want to boost because of discriminatory
Yeah.
laws, right? So
Mm-hmm.
all I can choose is housing, right? And I'm like,
Yeah.
housing, that seems so broad, but 98% of my consumers are in Canada, and
Yeah.
about 75% of them are within the Greater Toronto area.
Okay.
And once again, it reaffirms when I'm out in public. I was at the airport. Someone recognized me at the airport. It's like
Oh my
all of
God,
these
that's
random
amazing.
places. It's awesome, but it's like I feel like Instagram's doing a better job of targeting people than I would if I had the ability to sort of choose who I'm targeting,
It's
right?
true.
So
Yeah.
on that
Yeah.
front, yeah.
Wild. I mean, I don't know if this is the case, but you might be having more people recognize you as a realtor than they did as a professional athlete, which is
Oh,
unusual.
100%. But it's awesome because once again, it's like it's given me the confidence because as a newer realtor, it's like I have a lot of people. It's oversaturated. What, like 70,000 realtors in the GTA or something crazy like that? It's like, what is going to differentiate you from someone else? And I'm just going to be honest, a lot of my clients, they look like me, and there's a few realtors who also look like me who sort of dominate that sector, right? So it's like,
Mhm.
how do I differentiate myself when they've been in the industry 15, 20, 30, 40 years, right? So I want to get on camera and I want to show that I know what I'm talking about and I want to attract business as opposed to chasing it because the majority
Mhm.
of the business that I do now, it's people coming to me. But I would say the biggest obstacle that I face right now is the majority of my clients are millennials and majority of millennials are on social media. Now they'll
Mm.
come to me say, "Hey, I want to work with you." Then they say, "Hey, I want to introduce you to my parents." All of a sudden the parents, "You found this girl on the internet. You've never met
Mm.
her. She's so young. You should use
Right.
the realtor that we've been using for the past 15, 20, whatever years," right? So
Mm.
my whole thing is social media. I like to be authentic myself, but I also see it as a resume, right? Is this
Yeah.
every time I post, is this a post that I would want my potential clients' parents to watch?
Mm.
If it's a yes, then I'm going to post that. If not, maybe I'll hold back because at the end of the day, social media is essentially my resume. People don't go to my website when I'm looking at my
Yeah.
analytics. People are going to my Google profile and they're going to my Instagram.
Hmm. That's smart.
So
So
So the meat of your social media is Instagram, but you've also got activity. You're on YouTube, you're on TikTok.
Yes.
Do you repurpose stuff, or do you have a different system for how you're scheduling or the types of content that go in? Just because the form, as you know, I mean, timing and format and who's going there might be different from one platform to another.
Yes. Okay. So I'm convinced that TikTok hates me. So I literally just take my Instagram videos, post it on TikTok,
Yeah,
whatever sticks sort of sticks. And I
right.
find there's just a lot more trolls on there. It might just be the
Totally.
age group that is sort of caters to, but
Yeah.
I just don't have the energy to be dealing with those people. So I'll
Yeah.
post there. YouTube, I did used to take YouTube super seriously. The only issue is I felt like I'm a very analytical person, and if I'm going to be posting a long, form video, I need to
Mm,
really do my research. And I just found that it was taking way too much time. But
yeah.
on the YouTube front and sort of tying into community, I used to on Instagram show like, oh, this is an amazing piece of food. You should check out this restaurant. And people were asking me, hey, you always go to amazing restaurants. What are your favorite restaurants? So I started doing series. I, transact predominantly in the Durham region. So I was like,
Mm,
okay, let me do favorite restaurants Oshawa, favorite restaurants Whitby, favorite restaurants Pickering, whatever. Next thing you know, some of these videos, I mean, are blowing up in the YouTube. It was only a few thousand views, but the thing was,
still.
I posted those to my Instagram, tagged all of those restaurants in the video. The restaurants
Mm,
then watch the video. They then share that video with their following. So then I'm getting all the advertising from those restaurants. And then sometimes I even walked into the restaurants and they said, oh, you're that girl from YouTube. Here, have a free meal. And I even have local businesses asking me to go eat food at the restaurant and add them to the list, right? So YouTube sort of became more of like a community thing.
yeah.
And I also love food. So it's literally a win-win for everyone.
Kidding.
Oh, that's
I'm
amazing.
gonna make a list of businesses I want free stuff from. I'm gonna start doing
Freestyle.
review
YouTube
videos.
videos.
Make a mental note. Okay.
Right? You never know.
Oh my gosh. So thinking back to when you first started, so in your, do you remember the first reach out that somebody reached
Yeah.
out to you to like do, but do you remember that first
Yeah.
one? Yeah. And
Yeah.
how long did it take? So what was it and how long did it take you to get to that point?
It was probably because once again, I didn't realize I could get business from posting these videos, right?
Right,
So it
right.
was probably about 6 months in, and
Okay.
they were like, "Hey, my friends and I are thinking of buying a house." I had people reach out before, but this is the first one that like actually stuck, right? And she's
Right.
like, "We're in the process of getting pre-approved. Once we get pre-approved, we'll reach back out to you." And I was like,
Mm,
"Okay, no problem." Next thing you know, it's a group of four female family members sort of getting together, pooling their money to purchase a property. So
mm.
we did that, which was great. They wanted to do like this closing day music video. You can go on my YouTube. We did it. We got like a videographer. We all got our hair and makeup done, made it like a whole shebang. It was great.
Oh
Um,
my
and
God.
and from that, the thing is, I capture people from social media, but my goal is to meet them in person and then
Mm,
build that referral network. Because at the end of the day, we don't. I mean, I hope Instagram lasts for eternity, but realistically,
mm.
we don't know what's going to
True.
happen.
That's
So I
true.
always try to build, relationships with my people so that we can then work off of referrals, which are in person. So from the one person who, reached out to me, her best friend reached out to me, and then her other best friend reached out to me, and then that girl's best friend reached. So from that, I got like 5 or 6 transactions from just the Instagram, and they're all in Durham, right? But it's that one
Perfect.
person who sort of reached out to me, and then it's sort of branched out into this beautiful whatever
Oh my
ecosystem that's
God.
occurring. And for me, being in the business like 2.5 years, I'm just now starting to see some referrals. And for any
Mm,
realtors who are listening, referrals are gold. Treat your
yes.
existing clients and past clients like the golds they are, because they are going to be your biggest advocates and they are going to speak your name when you are not in certain rooms. So make
Mm,
sure you take care of your existing and previous clients. I've I don't want to say scooped up a couple clients, but I have had people who transacted with other realtors in the past. The realtors didn't keep up with them. One of their friends transacted with me. Next thing you know, I became their realtor and then they referred their friends to me. So it's very important to keep up with your database. And that's something that I sort of need to do better with, but that's a key takeaway for you guys.
one step at a time.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
It's so important, especially for referrals, that people who meet you and do business with you, they're meeting the person they saw in your videos. They're not meeting a different Jaden, like, oh shit,
Yeah.
you're not the same
Yeah.
as her. And then subsequent, when they refer you, they're confident their friend is going to meet the same Jaden. And your content as much as and we can talk about how you've developed, I guess, from your first video to now and
Oh
all
God,
that.
no.
Well, it's the best. We look at our first episode, like this is, I don't even know, what is this? Almost 200 episodes now. And our first ones, we used to I wore a suit to do our podcast, like
Oh
an idiot.
wow. Yeah,
And
yeah,
I don't
no.
even think we were doing them on video. Maybe we were doing them on video, but like you learn and you can look back with kind of a chuckle. But the reality is you've always been the same person, whether or not the quality of the video has gotten better over time. All this evergreen content of yours, you've been saying, is, it's useful, it's real, it's consistent. How important has that been to building relationships and making new ones when you talk to people for the first time?
Oh my gosh, it's very important. And that's one thing, like I see some realtors on social media and then I meet them in person and it's just such a letdown because the person that I saw on social media isn't what I see in person. And that could
Mm.
create a little bit of distrust too, right? So you want
Yeah.
to ensure that whoever you present yourself, of course, yourself on social media is who you're going to be in person. And for people who are, on the fence about producing video content and are maybe worried about what people think about you, I've learned that there's some people who are meant to transact with you and there's some people who aren't. And I'm lucky enough to be in the position now where I honestly become friends with like all of my clients. It's like we went to a boxing match. I go to like the barbecues because everyone who I attract is very similar to me. So when I meet them
Right.
in person, it's like they don't want to shake my hand. They want to hug me because it feels like they know me because they interact with my social media. They see sort of what I do. So I would
Yeah.
say that it's very important. Be authentic, and not everyone is gonna, resonate with you, and you're not gonna resonate with everyone, but that is okay because I find that when I take on business where I'm sort of about the client, that's the biggest headache. So you want to
Mm.
attract people who are similar to you. And the way that you're going to do this is by being your authentic self on social media.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. No, that's such an important message. And hopefully everybody is listening to that and actually implementing that, because even from a referral standpoint, it's people there, you're attracting people that like working with you. You're getting referred to people that actually like working with you as well and get know you. It's like, it's so much better than like a cold lead coming in and you don't even know how to talk to them or you don't know what their personality's like or anything like that. So I think that's
Exactly.
super important. Yeah.
Just want to add too, I have conversations with realtors sometimes. I'm like, get on video. And I've literally found realtors using my content word for word. Sometimes I say,
I
yo, in
hate
my
that.
video. Yeah. And it's like,
Oh
you
my
don't look like a
God.
person who's going to say, yo, you know what I mean? So it's like,
Yes.
make sure that you're yourself and make sure that you know what you're talking about because sometimes I spit out these random numbers and it's like if you don't know how these numbers are calculated, sure, you might be able
Yeah.
to get clients based off of my content, but when you're with them in person, are you going to be able to answer their questions?
Yeah.
Because if not, then everything that you're doing is sort of pointless and your credibility goes from here to down here. So
Absolutely.
make sure you know what you're talking about before you post it.
Oh my God. I have been shocked at the number of people I've come across and I've called people out for it, not me, but following
Yeah.
other people. Like I've even seen, there's a couple of, I don't know if you know Cash Alavi. He does a lot
Yes.
of, yes. So I came across this guy in the States that was literally copying his exact script. And he does these like full on, really funny videos. And like the entire everything was copied. And I'm like, what are you doing? Like, I don't understand how people, even if they can get away with it, how they can just even live with themselves to like take somebody's original content and post it. But anyway, you're right. It happens a lot. And, if you come across it with somebody else, just call them out on it. Cause I think they're getting away with it as long as they get called out for it and then they'll stop probably, but, or maybe they won't, I don't know, but yeah, brutal.
Exactly. Mine, I've called some people out and they haven't stopped. But for me, it's deeper. It's like, this is who you are as a person. Like that
Yeah,
might not be the person that I want to transact with. Like it's plagiarism.
exactly.
Let's be real. You're
I
plagiarizing,
know.
Right.
Like
It's one
My
thing to
God.
look at people for inspiration, right? And I think
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
okay to be inspired by the good things people
mm,
do. And if it helps spark ideas, more power to you. But don't try to become the person because that's not who you are. It does them a big disservice and it does yourself a disservice because what happens when that client sees your video and calls you and then they meet you and they're like, wait a second, you're nothing like Jaden, who you were
yeah,
pretending to be, right? So
exactly.
it's frustrating that it's out there, but there's not a monopoly on ideas, but people need to stay in their lane at least of who they are. in order, if you're out there on social media, it's okay if you're not a complete extrovert. Like there's a place in the social media space for every type of person. Because like what you said, attract the people who should be attracted to you and who you're going to work well with. What good is it if you if you make a video that starts with yo and you're someone who's never said that before, and then you get someone who comes to you and they're like, yo, what's up? And you're like, hello.
Yeah,
uh,
exactly.
right. So
Yeah.
it's frustrating is all it is. But you know what? Imitation is the best form of flattery. It means you're doing good things at the same time, right? And for
Yeah.
whatever people are doing out there, you're going tenfold, and you're the original. You're the one that's doing it the best
That's
way.
right.
So
I
now,
try.
Exactly.
so when you put content out there, I mean, you said you're doing it a little, and it's still like weekly is still frequent, but you're doing it in such a way that you can properly and preparedly put it out there. Are
Yeah.
you kind of preparing for yourself a concept and then just going at it, or do you script yourself, or does it depend on the video? Like, how does
Yeah.
that work?
Yeah, so I batch my content. So as of right now, I have enough content to get me to January of next year.
Amazing.
So
Good for
every at the
you.
beginning, thank you. At the beginning of every month, I come up like I spend a day just coming up with ideas. It's like, okay, common questions or something that I realize people don't know the difference between a deposit and a down payment. Okay, perfect. Let me
Mhm.
create a video on that. So at the beginning, it took me way longer to come up with ideas because I had no
Yeah.
idea what to talk about. But now
Hmm.
it's like I just have a note in my phone. Oh, I should talk about this. I should talk about this. So I
Yeah.
set a day, and then the next day, I'll put my hair up, put my hair down, change my shirt, change whatever, and I'll
Yeah.
just bang out some content, right? So I think that try to talk on things where it's evergreen, like you said, I can post
Yeah.
it whenever. But for example, like the Pickering City Center, that's something I needed to post it before the launch. So I'm gonna record that on a day and then
Hmm.
post it. So, and I do just want to share. So, Pickering City Center, for those you don't know, it's an awesome, 55-acre master plan community that we're seeing in Pickering. And I found that it was a very unique opportunity to create a video on this project, right? So, I posted the video. It has almost like 100,000 views. Okay. From that, I had over 300 emails submitted to me, like, hey, send me more information on the project. So my database literally went up by 300 people. Now, I'm not saying that we're all going to get this type of results, and I don't know if I can ever, replicate that, but it's just trying to find unique opportunities to sort of capitalize on what's happening in the market to get as much information as possible. Because once again, my goal now is to capture the information from Instagram and put it in my CRM, because once again,
Mm.
we never know. Hopefully nothing ever happens,
Yeah.
but you never know. So I would say, yeah, mostly just batching makes it super easy, because before I
Yeah.
was like, okay, let me record a video this day. And then it's like, I don't put myself together too much. And that's another thing. Some people comment on my appearance. Oh, you don't wear makeup. You're not put together enough. You sound like a man. You da 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 da. Hate is going to come, right?
Hmm.
But the thing is, the right people will sort of support you. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'll even purposely, I'm very detail oriented, but sometimes I'll purposely put a typo in my video, nothing important, just so that the trolls would be like, oh, you spelled blah, blah, blah wrong. But it's like the joke's on you because you're increasing my engagement. You know what I mean? So just those little things.
That's hilarious. Do you ever respond to haters or you just kind of leave it alone?
It
Or it
it really
depends?
depends. It really
Yeah.
depends. Like if it's something that's just super ridiculous, I won't answer.
Yeah.
A lot of the time now, my followers were like a squad. It's like if
It's
someone comes for me,
awesome.
they're all coming for you. So I sort
It's
of let
hilarious.
them handle those things. But it really depends on the comment. Most of the time, no, though.
Yeah.
Because the issue is it
It just
becomes this
keeps going.
perpetual dark hole, and then it's like I'm arguing
Absolutely.
with someone who has no type of, it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
Like an
So
8-year-old sitting in his mom's basement or something.
yeah, well, that's
Yeah,
it.
that's the thing. Like, it's never Katie with her real profile, right? It's like a
Mm,
picture of a dog following
yeah,
two people, no posts, right? It's like
yeah.
if you're gonna talk crap, at least show me who I'm dealing with. You know what I
Right.
mean? But people
Yes,
are these
exactly.
keyboard warriors. So
Yeah,
those ones specifically, I don't care about, because it's like if you
yeah,
can't say this being you, like you're just irrelevant in my opinion.
100%. Yeah, no, I think that's very healthy, especially given the engagement that you're getting. It's good to leave those people, let them be.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, so transitioning from social, as you say, you like to take people from social and obviously into your own personal network and personally and in person. You do a phenomenal job as well at the networking side of things. What kinds of initiatives have you been doing that have really been giving you a lot of engagement and just opportunities to connect with your audience offline?
So it's funny because it all sort of is intertwined. So because I post educational content on social media, I have different people reaching out to me. Hey, can you come teach at my elementary school? Can you come teach at my high school? I'm doing a
Nice.
community event. Can you come teach here? Now I'm getting into paid speaking engagements. Who would have thought? So that's sort of another revenue stream, right?
Oh
But
my
every single thing has come from social media. So
God.
my whole thing is building generational wealth and educating people, but there's no point in educating millennials if they're going to work hard to build all of this wealth and then pass it down to their kids and the kids just don't know what to do
Mm.
with the money. So I'm really passionate about educating people at different age ranges. So for example, sports too, I go to different sports teams, teach them, because a lot of people
Mm.
aspire, or kids aspire, to get scholarships. So they sort of look up to me because they're like, okay, she got a scholarship, and I emphasize the importance of financial literacy. I'll just talk about like the difference between a credit card, a debit card, like nothing too crazy, but then also emphasize the fact that good athletes in the States are a dime a dozen. Not only do you have to be a good athlete, you have to be a good student also, right? So just, yeah, different speaking engagements like that. It's really fun. And the cool thing is I might be speaking to the kids in the elementary school. Next thing you know, one of the teachers who saw my presentation knows that her sister wants to buy a house. And then
Yeah.
it sort of comes back to me, right? So it's really amazing. I do as much as I can to really just put myself out there and educate as many people as possible, because the thing is too, we have people on social media. There's just so many different avenues that you can sort of draw information from, but a lot of the time the information also is not accurate, or it's fear mongering, right? So
Yeah.
some people have all of these preconceived ideas that aren't actually based off of facts. So I do my best to sort of demystify everything and make it as easily digestible and understandable as possible, because once again, it's sort of the domino effect. I might have a conversation with a student whose parents aren't really financially literate. They say, hey, Jaden came to the school, had this presentation, let's hop on a call. And then it'll be like this. I'll hop on a Zoom call with a kid and their parents and teach them about, the importance of real estate. Or maybe the parents they have equity in their property. They don't realize they can leverage that equity to help their kids put a down payment on a property. So it's all jumbled together.
Yeah.
There's something really, really important in what you just said there that I think people need to hear. There's lots that's really important. I shouldn't say one thing. There's lots of things that are important. You are getting a following and you're getting engagement through positive messaging.
Mm.
And even though the education might have, warnings and risks and things you should look out for, too many people think that the clickbaity nature of social media is rooted, like you said, in fear and in
Mm.
negativity and in what's going to go wrong,
Mm-hmm.
where the messages you put out there are about, financial literacy being at its core, but the opportunity that exists rather than the challenge.
Mm.
And that's such an important thing that I
Yeah.
wish more people did, because not only is it more fun to be positive, but
Mm-hmm.
it resonates and it gives people a better feeling when they interact with your content. So engagement is great, but if people are engaging because they're pissed off, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like what's your first connection with them going to be like? It's going to be both of you saying like, damn government, yeah, I hate them too. No, no, no.
Yeah.
Instead of saying like,
Exactly.
wow, I can be something more than I am, or I can make something of what I've got. And you are a
Yeah.
person who appears to be not only knowing how to do it, but in my corner, and that's
Yes.
such a big positive message that I wish more people would take on, especially in the educational sense, because you're teaching people good things and making them better, which ultimately I wish more people understood will make everyone better, as cliche as it is. So
Mm.
like good
Yes.
for you for doing that, because
Yeah. It's
it's
really
admirable, and I
inspiring.
wish more people would do that.
Yeah, no, I'm
Thank
even
you.
thinking as you're talking like about myself, like a lot of times I get tempted to talk about like the negative stuff because you do get more engagement that way. But really, I'm getting the trolls that are like, talking about bad about, politics and all that. Like I don't want that. I just want to
Yeah.
like, spread the positivity and the opportunities that are out there and things to consider. So yeah, hopefully everybody kind of takes note of that as they're kind of developing their own content. Because as you said, like nobody wants to be, well, some people want to be negative, but like
Yeah. Yeah.
Some
you
people love
want
it.
to, I mean, you just want to approach things in a positive way. And as you said, you're going to attract the people that are positive as well. You don't want the crazy politic haters out there that to work with you. I don't want to touch those people. Like they can find
Exactly.
their own
I will
agents.
say the interesting thing though is sometimes when I post positive content, for example, I am a strong believer in it's in your best interest to purchase while interest rates are high if you can qualify, right?
Mm,
So I always start with something like somewhat controversial, and
yeah.
I'm like, hey, interest rates are high. This is why I think it's actually a great opportunity to buy. And then that's when you get the trolls. Oh, realtors just want to make money. They always say it's the best time to buy, da da da, right? But it's like as long as your information makes sense, then it's good. But I just find that the more
Yeah.
that I shed light, you don't need 20%. You can put as low as five down. The haters, oh well, talk about their monthly mortgage payments, talk about the CMHC. It's like you're never gonna
You
satisfy
never know.
everyone. But then
No.
that's when I tag them. Well, you know what? Check out my other reel where I talk about the implications of only putting 5% down, right? So that's another benefit of social media is just now, especially when I have people reaching out to me, hey Jaden, how much down do I need for a $500,000 house? Copy the reel, paste it, done.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Honestly think we need, with every guest we ever have, everyone's got their own voice for the haters, like the impression voice.
Oh
You
yeah.
actually had two there. You had the this one who talks like this, da, 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 but then you also had that no, it's not. You had the two of those going on. But
Yeah.
we should have like a whole separate segment of just piecing together everybody's voice of the
Yeah.
haters and what they
Well, I
sound
think
like. I
I
have
think
one
it's
too, for
helpful.
sure.
I think it's helpful when you're reading the hater comments that you have it in that sort of a voice where you're
Always,
making fun of
always.
them. Like,
It's not my own
Yeah.
voice. Couldn't be my own voice. It's got to be someone else. And
Right?
picturing
yeah,
what they sound like.
of course not.
Oh,
Yeah.
Exactly.
have you received feedback, and I'll say feedback instead of, because it wouldn't have been a hater, but someone who said something that isn't completely, supportive of what you're putting out there, that's actually changed the way you do things or taught you to do things different? Or do you just do what you do and not?
Yeah, no. I sort of do what I do. One piece of feedback that it's just I have maximum 90 seconds. I'm only trying to provide value, 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 no fluff. Sometimes people say, "Oh, you should have dove deeper in X, Y, Z." But the issue that I find is that I do attract people. Like I work with a lot of clients from India. A lot of people
Mm.
who come from India, they find me on social media and I work with
Okay.
them. But the thing is, some people the English is their second language. So some people
Right.
say that I speak a little too fast, but it's like
Okay.
when I try to speak slower, I find that I think about it too much. It doesn't
You
come
run out of
naturally,
runway.
right? Yes, and
Yeah.
then I run out of runway. It's like I can only record half of my reel. So that's one thing. And Daniel, I just remembered you asked me if it's scripted. 100% scripted, 100%. So
Oh.
what I used to do is I used to record. I write out my reels word for word to know what I'm going to say. And then I used to just sit and try to record it in one shot. And the issue with that is that I'd be doing great, and then my dog would come out, hit me, have to restart. Just something stupid happens, and then you have to restart the video. So
Yeah.
what I started to do was just short form clips. So now I have my
Mm.
reels written out, and it's basically like I'd say every two sentences. So like,
Yeah.
hey guys, this is why I think now is the best time to purchase a house. The average home has gone down by 100 to 200,000 because I also I also say a lot of numbers, right? And
Yeah.
it's like it's hard to memorize all of those numbers.
Yeah.
So I have them in front of me, and then I'll say, okay, so the average house in Durham is 930,000, average house in Oshawa 810. Okay, perfect. So the average house in Durham is 930,000, and the average house in Oshawa is 810, right? Because I can't memorize all of those, and I just find that when I do the short little clips, it keeps people engaged because when it's just one long clip, I found personally that I didn't get as much engagement. So for me, it's super easy. Just set it and forget it. I write out my reels. I know exactly what I'm going to say. I reference my two sentences. I speak to Daniel, reference my two sentences, speak to Katie, go on
Mm.
Instagram, literally just upload all of the videos in the reel section. Instagram has an auto caption section. Let it auto caption, save to drafts, post whenever I want to.
Hmm.
That's my process.
That's awesome. And how long okay, so you said you have enough content until January. So what does that
Yeah.
actually mean in terms of videos? Like what do you got banked?
Yeah. So a video a week. So probably
So you
like
got okay,
30-ish videos
30-ish. Okay.
ready to go.
Wow. And you
Yeah.
said weekly. So you're scripting out, sorry, you're doing content monthly. So you're scripting out like four or so, or yeah, okay. All
Yeah,
right.
it really
It's
just depends
doable.
on how many ideas I have, right? Like if I
Yeah.
notice a trend in the market, I'm gonna record that video and then sort of post it earlier. But yeah, it's mostly just batching the content. And I would say I definitely recommend that for people. And once again, as you start to familiarize yourself with the industry, the ins and outs, creating the content is going to be way easier. Because when I first started and I was, drafting 4 reels, you guys, it probably took me 4 hours to come up with 4 ideas. You know what I mean?
No,
Because it's like,
exactly.
I don't even know if these are questions people actually ask because I don't have enough knowledge on, the industry. But now it's literally like I could sit down within 4 hours. I have my 4 or 5 reel ideas and I can record it and I'm good to go. Editing my videos might take max 10 minutes and I'm good to go per video.
Right. Per video. No.
That's awesome though, because you've laid out the blueprint. So if anybody wasn't listening, rewind about 5 minutes. She just told you how you take like 4 or 5 clips, you piece them together, you auto caption the thing, and that's it. Like it's really not rocket science. And I say that at the same time as you're doing it awesome. It is in a lot of ways. It's an art that people need to do a lot of before they can nail it. And no one's going from 0 to 20,000 followers overnight. But the consistency and the consistent feel of it, like if someone goes to your Instagram page right now and they see that grid, virtually with the exception of, I know you've got an event coming up September 29th.
Yeah, I know. Yes.
That was
Yes. The
that
event.
was a mini plug right there.
Thank you. Yes, yes. It's more than a sale conference. If you guys are trying to check it out, it's going to be good. Daniel G, Ron Sally, Huda Alvi, a lot of people we're going to present. So, and once again, where did that come from? Social media. They saw my content, they reached out, they wanted to work with me. So,
That's amazing.
Awesome. So, you mentioned a couple times that we know Instagram but it may not be around 3, 5, 10 years from now. And you've built a pretty hefty stable of database and clients that's growing by the day. What is your, 5, 10 year vision for how you're going to be doing business? Is your hope that you're working purely off the referral network then? You've mentioned TikTok doesn't do it, like new technologies maybe don't do it. Same thing with me. The one TikTok video I did, I tried to do a handstand on a wall and I broke my head. It's very embarrassing.
oh my God.
The only TikTok video I've ever done, and I'll never return. And that's not a plug to go. I don't even know if I have an account anymore, so don't follow me there or anything. But knowing that maybe new technology may or may not be where you're headed, what's the goal for you post Instagram if Instagram fizzles out?
Yeah, 100%. So definitely referral business. And the thing is, I'm just realizing like I need to get in front of more people because sometimes I see realtors and this is a big issue that I need to work on too, is like my follow-up with my Instagram leads. Before I would just I might get like a lead a day, let's say, and I'll take a screenshot and then I put it in a note. And I never actually ever referenced that note. So then at the beginning of the year, I was like, let me go through this note. 7 transactions I missed because I didn't follow up with those people. And I'm like, that's 7 transactions that people reach out to me saying, oh, I have a pre-approval. I want to get pre-approved. I have a house to sell. And I just didn't follow up, right? So for me, my main focus is following up with all of the leads consistently, but then also one of the people, I was like, okay, so why did you decide to choose the realtor? And they were like, well, they knocked on my door. They told me what they think the value of my house is. And we just felt, you know what? They did so much work. We have to list our property with them. And I was like, is it really that easy? Like, I don't know. So now I'm going to start door knocking too. So I plan on having a business outside of social media, referral business, but also I'm not saying by any means I don't know what the future holds, but I like the Ryan Serhant model. Okay. He has a team. People have asked me to teach them about social media. Maybe I start having social media courses. And then also, I am doing quite a bit of public speaking, the public speaking route too. So I do foresee myself sort of creating a team. I love transacting. I love hanging out with people's children, looking at houses, playing hide and seek, all of that stuff. So I don't foresee myself ever really leaving that part of the business, but I foresee myself delegating a lot of it, especially because I want to make sure that all of my leads are handled accordingly. But then also branching off and maybe teaching about social media, or at least having a course, and then also doing a lot more public engagements because I realize I might go speak in front of between 10 to 200 people. That's 20 to 400 eyes that are on me, seeing the way I present myself, the knowledge that I have, and that's also been another source of getting business. So those are like my 3 main focuses, I would say, for the future.
It's amazing. So smart. And I think you're going to do so much with the public speaking side of things. Like, as you said, like that's just your opportunity to get in front of so many other people and really impact their lives as well, which is the most important. Yeah, no, I think this is a great plan. Do you have an assistant right now helping you kind of get you through the
So I
lead
don't.
follow up? Okay.
I don't. And that's something that I'm sort of working on. I'm very
Yeah.
lucky in the sense that like my mom has supported me like ever since I was a baby. She's my biggest fan. So it's like
Aw,
if I need a lockbox on a house, she's putting the lockbox on. If I need a rider, she's doing that. So she takes care of a lot of the smaller things for me.
good.
I'm also considering getting an ISA, so like an
Yeah.
inside, sales agent, having people
Mm-hmm.
call. There's someone who also really believes in my business who, when I grow, I know she's going to be my manager. So I think that, warming her up, having her do a few calls, seeing how she
Yeah.
interacts with everyone, seeing the business that we can, garner would be good. So that's sort
Yeah.
of where I'm at right now is leveraging my mom and my future manager and sort of seeing what we can come up with and then going from there. But that's my biggest pain point, and I would just recommend to all new realtors, like from the beginning, don't be lazy with your database. When you're having conversations with people, put the
Yeah.
notes in the database, continue to follow up. If you have a CRM that does like the automatic drip campaigns or whatever, just do whatever you can to stay top of mind, because I just think, oh yeah, social media people are seeing, but a lot of the business that I lost is actually people who don't have Instagram, right? And I'm
Mm,
just focused on, oh, follow up with my Instagram people, which I wasn't because I had it in a note anyways. But then there's all of these other people in my CRM that I didn't touch base with that I know
yeah.
100% would have transacted with me if I had have continued to engage with them, right? So that's sort of where
Yeah.
I'm at.
Yeah, no, I think, and I think everybody gets to that point. You don't really realize it until you get to the point where you're like, oh, shoot, I'm losing business as a result. But it happens to everybody. But I definitely see even like a virtual assistant to take your DMs and like put them in your CRM and then remind you, at least like you've got like a system happening there as well, which would be really helpful. But you've obviously got your eye on the plan. So that's the most important. So yeah, awesome.
So, okay, I don't even know if we've mentioned this yet, but where are people following you?
Yeah.
Like, can you give all your handles? I know Instagram's the most important.
Yeah, yeah. Everything's Jaden Kennedy Real Estate. That's another thing, guys. You want to stay consistent with your brand.
Mm.
Jaden
Hmm.
Kennedy Real Estate on everything. Because if I'm Jaden Kennedy, the realtor on one, Jaden Kennedy, it's going to be harder for you people to find you, right? And I want to touch people on as many platforms as possible. And then also Jaden Kennedy Real Estate on Google. You guys got to get a Google profile set up, especially as a new realtor. We need to build credibility. So after every transaction, I am finding my clients. If I have to knock on their door and ask for a Google review, that's what I'm going to do, because I need to make sure that when people search me, I have a decent amount of Google reviews, especially because some, established realtors, they might not necessarily feel like they need Google reviews, but like I might also try to leverage that. Like, hey, they have 10 Google five-star
Yeah.
reviews and I have 50, whatever, right? So
Hmm.
definitely using Google also to build credibility is very important. And then the search engine optimization and all of that stuff, like just make sure
Hmm.
you're good with Google, because they're going to favor you when everything
Yeah,
else sort of comes into play.
totally.
Well, and that's we talk so much about, targeting your audience and all that, and you've got an interesting approach because you're not like necessarily community farming like 1,500 homes. You're casting a wide net, but it's targeted because you're going where your people are. Like you understand who you're going to work with and you're finding them and giving them the opportunity to find you instead of sending out. And if you do, I guess I'm totally wrong, but I doubt you send out 50,000 flyers to the neighborhood. Like, or do you? You also do that?
No,
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 okay,
I
you don't.
don't.
Okay.
And so
I was gonna,
see,
you're
here's
like,
the thing.
actually, yeah, I do.
Yeah, no, no. I tried that. I tried that. And then when I saw the price tag associated with it in the
Mm.
ROI, I was like, the
Yeah.
math is not mathing here. I would
Totally.
rather post a video, have it reach, say, 40,000 people, have someone maybe in, and this happened to me. I was considering farming an area because my client bought in that area. Next thing you know, I got a call from someone who lives in that area. It's like a $1.25 million house. Hey, I'm thinking of selling my property. Can you come to my house? Instagram,
Mm.
right? So I'm a little biased, but I just find that ROI monetarily and on my time. How long does it take me to hit 100 people knocking on doors and
Yeah.
actually hit them? With
Yeah.
social media, it's 100%, right? Because they're seeing my content.
Hmm.
So I'm very biased, but at the same time, I do realize social media might not necessarily be for everyone, right? So you have to stick with whatever you're comfortable with. I know some people who do cold calling, some people who do door knocking, but I just find social media works with me and your reach. There's no other platform where you can reach as many people as you can with social media.
Yeah, no, just find what you enjoy doing. And obviously, you do an amazing job at Instagram. So it's important to stick with it and stay focused. That's the other thing. You don't want to be delving into all of these other avenues when you're, obviously doing so well on this platform. So that's awesome. We're so
Thank you.
happy to
And
see you grow. It's amazing.
thank you. And yeah, I just want to say too, like consistency, right? Because I had a
Yeah.
point where I probably had like 5 or 6 buyers hit me up within a month. And I was like, oh my gosh, so much business. But being honest right now, in the past like 2, 3 months, I've only had 2 legitimate buyers and so many people asking me questions, right? So I've also outsourced like my mortgage partner now. I tell him like we have a system in place. If someone's like,
Good.
hey, I'm interested in buying a house, I say, okay, what's your potential budget, how much money do you have saved, what's your income, based off of that. If everything aligns, I know, okay, you know what, let me do a consult. If it doesn't make sense, I say, you know what, here's my mortgage partner, converse with him, and then go from there. So I'll give the link, they book like a Zoom call with him, he'll give me a summary of the call, and then we'll sort of go from there. Because at the beginning I was able to do a Zoom call with everyone. But now, if I did a Zoom
Yeah.
call with everyone, like I wouldn't have time for my reels and to sleep and to eat, right? So
Yeah.
yeah. I did outsource that, so that's one good thing I did.
And
That's
you've
awesome.
you've got such a big database that the business you're doing is actually a pretty good indicator of the market. So the 2 buyers in the last month is probably the only 2 buyers that there have been in all of Toronto in the last month. So
Oh, no.
True.
you're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
Uh,
Thank you.
Sidebar too, and we noticed this before we came on, that if I'm on your Linktree page, it actually turns my face purple. I'm looking at your Linktree page right now. It's got a
Oh my
serious
gosh.
it's got a purple vibe to it that if people want like an auto filter, just go to Jaden's Linktree and get some purple on your face and it'll hook you up.
There
But
you
I've
go.
turned
That
it
is
off now again.
awesome.
But
That's funny. And Linktree, that's another thing too, you guys. If you have a bunch of different platforms that you're on, create a Linktree. It'll
Yeah.
bring one link on your profile. You click it, it'll bring you to Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, events that you're doing, so that it's a one-stop shop for everyone.
Yeah.
And if
And
you
it's
want to be
free.
me, you can make people purple. And it's
Yeah.
free. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
you can
I
make
mean, I guess you
choose
can,
your
yeah.
color.
You can customize it a bit, but the free one's amazing. So why would you
Yeah.
even bother? Yeah. But awesome. All right. So everybody go follow Jaden Kennedy Real Estate on Instagram and all the other platforms. And yeah, see what she's up to, get inspired by all of the content she's creating. And thank you, Jaden. It was such a pleasure
But
to talk to you.
don't rip it off though.
We're
Get
not word for
inspired.
word. Inspired, not word for
Don't
word.
be we're watching for your
Or
copycat
we're going
stuff.
to come for you.
Yes, all of us are coming for you. Now you have 3 of us. It's not just
That's
me.
That's
right.
It's
right.
the
This
three of
this
Yeah.
us.
army is growing. It's growing.
Uh, no, like, okay,
I
sorry.
love
One
that.
last thing. I'm just looking at your Instagram. It's 76 posts, just
Yeah,
76 and over 19,000 followers. Like, that's insane. Like, most people have like, it's almost like one for one post for followers, but like it's obvious that you're putting out amazing weekly consistent content, but it's valuable and you're not killing yourself doing it daily. So let's all take a
exactly.
page out of Jaden's book and just
Thank
crush it
you.
on Instagram. So great
I just
job.
want to add to the reason why my engagement is so high. Because number one, like of course I'm meeting a lot of people in person, but for the people I don't meet in person, like I engage. Like when you have people commenting on your post, make sure that you comment back and don't just comment
Yes.
something like a thumbs up. Like make it something meaningful.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katie. I appreciate you. Just something
Mm-hmm.
more personable, and I find that I have like the same group of people who sort of engage with my content, always share, and then there's always sort of new people joining in. But if you're not acknowledging, the fact that they're supporting you and showing appreciation, you might not continue to get that engagement. So it's very important to also interact with their posts too. Like if Katie posts a picture in her nice green blazer, like tell Katie your blazer is nice. There's a lot of niceness that could be passed around in the world to make someone feel better, and you never know. It's all, everything gets reciprocated, it all comes back.
100%. Amazing. So much wisdom dropped in this episode. Thank you so much, Jaden. We appreciate all of your time. And yeah, we'll chat. I'm for sure on Instagram, but hopefully we have a chance to meet you soon in person. That would be great.
For a
So
volleyball lesson with our daughter. I think that
Yeah,
that would be huge.
exactly.
Yes, 100%. I'd be more than happy to.
Awesome. Well, have a great day.
All right, thanks, guys.
Level up, level up, level up.